Good morning, my Real News Midday TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning for another news update for Monday, August 18, 2025. And I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning, teenager arrested in connection with a fatal shooting at a vigil. The St. Catharines South police have arrested a 19-year-old male suspect in connection with the murder of a man at a vigil in Portmore on Thursday. The suspect held on Thursday is a mechanic of a Gregory Park, Portmore address. The deceased has been identified as Dick Uriah Palmer, otherwise called the Children, a laborer of Cumberland Meadows, Portmore. Police reports are that about 1 a.m. on Thursday, Palmer was at a vigil in Caymanas Gardens, Gregory Park, when he was approached by a man. After a brief conversation with him, the man reportedly brandished a gun and fired shots, hitting Palmer in the upper body. The gunman ran from the scene and escaped in the community on foot. Palmer ran to a nearby premises and was assisted to the Spanish Town Hospital, where he died while undergoing treatment. A probe was launched by the Portmore Criminal Investigations Branch, which resulted in the arrest of the suspect. Westmoreland farmer charged with murder. A Westmoreland farmer has been charged with murder in relation to the fatal shooting of a man in Baptist Lane, Bridgewater in the parish on June 29, 2023. He is 32-year-old O'Neill Morris, otherwise called the Fisherman, of Berkshire District, Dundee. Reports from the Savannah Lamar police are that at about 5:45 p.m., 22-year-old farmer Lionel Blake, otherwise called Messi, was driving his motor vehicle along the main road when a motorcycle with Morris as the pillion passenger rode up. Morris allegedly pulled a firearm and opened a fire, hitting Blake multiple times to the upper body before escaping. The police were alerted, and on their arrival, Blake was transported to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Following an investigation into the murder, Morris was taken into custody on August 13 during an operation. He was charged on Saturday after a question and answer session was conducted in the presence of his attorney. His court date is being finalized, and the other man is currently being sought by the police. All systems go for nomination day. The machinery of the two major political parties will be at a full throttle today, as the prospective candidates and their supporters are expected to whip up frenzied carnival-type celebrations that accompany nomination day exercises across Jamaica's 63 constituencies. Independent candidates and representatives of minor political parties are also expected to participate in the nomination exercise to run in the September 3 general election. The buzz of activities will reach a crescendo between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. when the nomination of candidates will be conducted by officials from the Electoral Office of Jamaica. Nominations of candidates for local government by-elections will be accepted between noon and 2 p.m. Director of Elections Glasspool Brown told the news last week that all the nomination centers would be opened on time and the support staff would be in place to carry out the exercise. Campaigning for the upcoming elections has intensified since Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced the date of the polls last week at a mass rally in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. The People's National Party held its Kingston and the St. Andrew meeting Saturday night and has announced the plans for a mass rally in Mandeville later this month. The EOJ has informed that any person wishing to register as a candidate for the parliamentary elections is required to complete the nomination form signed by any 10 or more electors registered to vote in the constituency. The form should be returned to the returning officer between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. at the place specified in the election notice as the designated venue on the day appointed as nomination day. The person being nominated is also required to pay a fee of $15,000 to the returning officer. At the same time, persons wishing to register as candidates for the local government by-elections are required to complete the nomination form signed by any 6 or more electors qualified to vote in the electoral division for which the election is to be held. The form should be returned to the returning officer between noon and 2 p.m. and a fee of $3,000 paid. Brooklyn man loses home over $5,000 water bill. A Brooklyn man has reportedly lost his home in an auction due to an unpaid water bill totaling approximately US $5,000, according to a report by ABC 7 Eyewitness News. The man, identified as Fillmore Brown, had reportedly purchased the home in 1996 and successfully paid off the mortgage by 2019. He told ABC 7 that he had worked 7 days a week for over 2 decades to achieve home ownership. Brown said he discovered the property had been sold without his knowledge when strangers attempted to gain access to the premises one night. "I don't want anybody to go through what I am going through," Brown said in an interview. "I cannot eat, I cannot drink, and I cannot sleep." Brown, who has a Jamaican accent, told the outlet that he would have paid the water bill had he known about it. According to ABC 7, the city can take action against the property owners with significant unpaid taxes or water bills by selling the debts to a trust or group of investors. These investors then attempt to collect the money, often with interest. If the debts remain unpaid, the property can go into foreclosure and be auctioned off. Following news of Brown's situation, the New York City Public Advocate, along with local and state lawmakers, are reportedly rallying in his support. Mark Golding dismisses JLP criticisms of PNP Manifesto. President of the People's National Party, Mark Golding, declared on Saturday night that the PNP has the right mix of policies and programs to transform Jamaica as it seeks to take the reins of government while pushing back at the criticisms of the party's election manifesto. Mr. Golding, addressing the PNP's corporate era parish rally in Crossroads, St. Andrew, stoutly defended the PNP's Jamaica Love Manifesto in response to scathing criticisms from the Jamaica Labour Party. The JLP had dismissed the PNP's manifesto, released on Tuesday, as AI-generated and cut and paste, while questioning how its programs would be funded. The opposition leader rubbished the JLP's assessment, asserting that the manifesto was generated by real intelligence and not artificial intelligence, adding that the plans and the programs outlined in the 54-page document were derived from a series of retreats with members of the shadow cabinet. He outlined the key pledges in the manifesto, including more access to land and housing, tax-free pension income, scholarships for first-generation university students, and the protections for contract workers. The 19th parliamentary general election, since the passage of universal adult suffrage, is scheduled for Wednesday, September 3.
Is real intelligence in the manifesto, and it's a pathway to give a better life to Jamaica. And that is why we're going to juke them with the first in family scholarship. So any child who is the first in their family to qualify for school or university under the People's National Party government, they will get a full scholarship so they can help their brothers and sisters step out of poverty, and we can end intergenerational poverty in this country. That is why we're going to build 50,000 affordable houses in our first term. We're going to have them all across Jamaica, and we're going to build them on public lands not suitable for agriculture, and we're not going to include the value of the land in the price of the house, because we want the people of Jamaica who need affordable houses to be able to access it, and they're going to get real value for money because the land will be theirs and they don't have to pay a price for that. That's where we're going to reform the National Housing Trust and restore it to its true mission. We're going to set aside a fund of $1 billion per year in the National Housing Trust and provide a grant money that they don't have to repay. Anyone up to 45 years old who has been a subscriber to the National Housing Trust for up to 2 years can qualify when they're buying their first house for that grant under the Young Person Deposit Fund. We have the rent-to-own program because we realize right now too many of our people are excluded from accessing a mortgage loan to buy a house because they can't prove their income because they don't have a formal pay slip. They might be a farmer, they might be a taxi operator, they might be a cook shack operator, they might be a cosmetologist or a barber or a hairdresser. Our rent-to-own program is for you. You will be able to go into possession of one of those houses we're going to build, and you can go in as a tenant, and as long as you're paying your rent, and the rent is equivalent to the mortgage, after 6 months, if you're on target, we will say you have proved your income, you're entitled to the mortgage loan, you can draw down the financing and step up from being a tenant to being an owner. This is why when it comes to land ownership, we have to change some of the oppressive laws that are inherited from way back in colonial times. When they said if you're occupying public land, you can't become entitled to own that land unless 60 years has passed. That was a time when the life expectancy of people on earth was not even 60 years. They never wanted anybody who didn't already own land to ever acquire land. Well, we are going to change that law now. We're going to bring that 60 years down to 25 years. And if you've been living on that land for 25 years, you're entitled to be an owner and get your title. And we have our Porsche program for all of the unfinished Operation Pride schemes around Jamaica. We're going to complete the infrastructure and make sure you get your title. And for all of the informal settlements out there, we're going to do the same for you too under the Porsche program, because we want our people to be owners of this country. No second-class citizen, any worker in Jamaica, public sector or private sector, security guard, police officer, anybody who earns overtime, if your total income is under $6 million a year, you will no longer pay tax on your overtime money. You will get it tax-free. Your take-home pay will go up. The People's National Party is looking out for you because time come for a better life. And for all those workers in the various industries where they use this short-term contract mechanism to keep you dangling from a string, and you don't have any security in your job, and certain benefits you don't qualify for because they don't treat you as employees. Help is on the way. The next PNP government is going to fix that situation. If you're a real worker and you're working for the employer, you will have to be treated as such under the law. Time come for a better life. We're going to have a $1 billion fund replenished every year to support persons with disabilities on top of any other benefits in the government system, so that they can get the money to do a little work at home so they can earn a living. We'll fix up the sidewalks, we'll help with the assistive aids, we'll help with the prostheses, etc. Because the people of Jamaica who are persons with disabilities deserve to be treated as first-class citizens in an inclusive and caring society.
Guys, thanks for watching. Please join us this afternoon at 2 p.m. for another news update.